Listeners be advised. The Soliloquy podcast discuss matters related to the human experience and many that are sexual in nature. Due to this, some conversations may surround triggering topics such as sexual violence, self-harm, abuse, and much more. Please be advised, a list of crisis and psychological resources will be available in the show notes of this episode. With that said, let's get started with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please as we go through the following safety instructions.
In the event that there is a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen mask will drop from the overhead. Place the mask over your nose and mouth. Breathe normally as oxygen is flowing even if the mask is not inflated. Be sure to adjust your own mask before helping others.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. This is your favorite host, Vernon T. Scott, also known as Slaytor Jackson, and for you freaky motherfuckers out there, Sebastian Adams. And it is season 3 of the podcast, and there's somebody blowing leaves outside my window. Oh my gosh, it's a beautiful day, and it's hot as hell, and it's summer. Y'all. Today, I am blessed to have Tyrell back onto the podcast. Y'all, it's been 3 seasons and he's staying with me. I love it. I love it so much. This is Tyrell, how you doing today? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We family, so it's like a family reunion, every summer,
Yes,
So
yes.
definitely I'm glad to be back. Hello to everybody. And so yeah, we back for season 3, baby.
It's a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing. Well, for you all who are just joining into the Soliloquy podcast, go back and listen to all the wonderful episodes that Tyrell is on. That includes the ones with him individually, as well as the ones that's here for November. And if you haven't listened to the episodes from last November, bitches, what the fuck are y'all doing? Catch
Yes.
up. So, though he is a staple in the podcast and we never know who's new to the show, it is always good to introduce the guests and let people know who they are and all this other stuff so that y'all could just join in and know who's on the other end as you continue to listen to the episodes. I'm not going to give up on that. Y'all need to go back and listen for real. So, Tyrell, who the fuck are you?
Oh yes. Again, hello to everybody. I am Tyrell. I am born and raised here in Atlanta, Georgia, and basically I am a higher ed educator in English. And so about to finish up my doctoral journey very soon. So if you heard me speaking about that last summer, don't worry, we still continuing on with the progress. And so we moving in a good direction. So I don't want anybody to think I'm stagnant right now. Like, did he just say like this like last summer? But like it's a journey, y'all. So we getting towards the end of that journey. So I'm gonna be telling y'all soon, like to put the doctor in front of the name,
Look,
So.
listen. That shit is there and respected.
Thank you. Thank you. But yes, as always, I'm so glad to be back. I love talking about the host of wonderful topics that, we are able to impart. I love being able to talk with my friend Bernie here to give initial and extra and support insight into a myriad of wonderful discussions that we just continued to have.
Yes, and speaking of discussions that we're going to have today, y'all, we're talking about ideal relationships. So, if you're under that spectrum of trying to figure out what your ideal relationship is, hopefully this conversation might bring you something. But look, they vary per person. So I personally don't subscribe to, oh, an ideal relationship has to be this. For me, it and honestly, it kind of fluctuates every single year when I think about it. What do I want in a partner, and what things do I enjoy, and all the other great things. Um, Typically, I just stick with just honesty, communication, and trust. And if I have that, I'm good. But of course, there's other things too. But how do you feel about the term of ideal relationships by itself?
The thing, I think ideal relationships is like it's like a construct, just like how we think about a lot of like sociological terms, right? So I don't think that there's necessarily like you will ever be in like an ideal relationship. I
Mhm.
think like if I'm thinking about an ideal relationship for me, it would be something. It would be a relationship or relationships. Just because to throw it out there, I am of the polyamorous community, so I just want to just make that known that a lot of times as I'm talking, I'm thinking about things from a poly perspective. So as I'm thinking about being in relationship, I think about what's healthy.
Mhm.
And so I always tend to say that, whatever dynamics that anybody is in, as long as it's positive and it's healthy for you, then I think that you are in like an ideal kind of scenario. And ideal does not mean 100% perfect, because I don't think we can ever be 100% satisfied, all of the time. So yeah.
No, I agree with that. I think about some of my past relationships I've had that I felt extremely happy in, and some of those did not last as long as I wanted them to, or shit just you just separate. But I think the thing that made them my ideal is because they had some level of what I really wanted, which is, like I mentioned earlier, having that communication, having the trust in my partner, and just being able to be honest with each other about the things that is going on in our lives. And if I'm feeling depressed or feeling down, being able to feel safe with that person. Like I think like what you said earlier, just having healthy relationships, that is the ideal. And I will add on, like, healthy does look different from each person, because I know some people, they see their healthy relationship as having loyalty and all these other things. And for me, loyalty is not something that I need in a relationship. And I don't see loyalty as being healthy. Not to say that it's not, like, universally not healthy, because it is. It can be very healthy for people. But for the type of relationship I'm looking for within a partner, I don't want loyalty to be there. Most definitely if I don't understand what their personal definition of loyalty is.
Mhm.
What does healthy relationships for you look like?
So yeah, so the nature of what a healthy relationship is that one are my requirements being met, because
Mm,
I don't think that asking for honesty and respect and like those things that we consider to be foundational, I think that we've gotten into a place and a time where it's like, oh, like I'm looking for those things. And as to say like, oh, if I have those things, then I'm just going to be automatically all in. But
mhm,
it's to say like, no, we should have standards to say that no, like having respect, respecting me, I respect you, we are honest, and obviously communication is always something we have to work on.
mhm,
But it's kind of like sometimes these foundational aspects, I'm like, no, these are not, things that I just want. They are requirements.
mm,
Like, so I
yes.
don't just want someone to respect me. No, I require somebody to respect me. And that respect does not come from a overzealousness or a controlling type of vernacular or behavior. It's more so coming from, hey, like what, like, so just say for instance for me, one of the things that I feel is key in respect, and this goes along with the nature of communication, is I'm not a person who curses at romantic partners.
Mhm,
I don't see that, in me. So because I don't do it, I don't expect, a romantic partner to do it to me. Like,
mhm,
even if, I understand that, hey, we may be heated in, a argument or upset at, whatever. And of course, yeah, if we're doing cussing at the situation, then that's, to me, that's a little bit different. But when it crosses the line as to say like, oh, like you cursing me out now, I have a problem with that. Like
mm,
my respect and my boundary has just been crossed.
mm,
So yeah, I think for in thinking about what does a positive relationship, kind of look like, I think it's knowing that your requirements are being met and that they are also being respected. And two, that you're finding yourself to be, yoked in your relationship. And what I mean by yoked is that, you feel like you're getting out of what you're giving into the relationship.
Mm.
And of course, that's not always going to be in equilibrium. Like shit happens in our lives. So you may be in a place where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm having to do a lot more, with my partner right now. But it's not to say that that's how it should remain.
Mm.
So I think that any positive relationship that you're in is just really assessing those needs, those wants. Are your requirements being met, and are you feeling yoked in the relationship?
So, something came to me. Well, there's two things. I hope I remember the second one, but the first thing that really came to me is how does one actually and get like teach or show respect to a partner? Well, it might have to be teaching this
Mm,
example, but how does one teach their partner how to show and give respect to them if their partner never knows that word or has
mm,
never seen respect or has never actually felt what respect is? Because I've known, like, I've communicated with people in the past where I can have a cordial conversation and I say something that was slightly against like their belief system or even a no or something like that, and then they're like, how, why are you disrespecting me, and why are you doing like all
mm.
these random things, and you're just like, that wasn't a disrespectful statement. It's
Right.
like when people preface a sentence saying no disrespect but such and such and such and such, and because it's truth they take that automatically as being disrespectful. So I've always wondered how can we teach that to
Well,
our partner or whatever.
that's the thing. I think the way that we teach is by doing it first out of love, always.
Mm,
Like if somebody has crossed a boundary with me or whatever, it's not going to serve me by just getting in their face, going rah, 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 this and, things like that. Because then now all of a sudden we're just back and forth in a screaming match. Like that's not going to solve anything. I
mm,
think that when somebody has either disrespected you or crossed your boundaries or what have you, is they may not have known, right? And so I think it's also too, you have to assess, okay, was this done intentionally, or
mm,
is this something that I'm thinking that they should know as not to do, but maybe they just don't. And so I think it's always on you to communicate how it is that you feel, so that way there are no oh, should I have said this, or could I have done that, or what would have happened if I had spoken up, or whatever, as to get your feelings out there, and to make it known that also when you are on the end of having said something that has upset your partner, it is up to you to know that prefacing statements like, oh, well, I'm sorry, if that made you feel like that, or
mm,
what have you, because to me, I don't like those kind of sayings by prefacing like, oh, I'm sorry, like if that made you feel, because you're still not taking ownership of
mm,
what it is that you said. If you have said something that somebody has either not necessarily just taken offense to, but they have said that hurts them,
mhm,
then if you're going to apologize, then let that come from the true nature of an apology. Oh, I am sorry that what I said hurt you, because taking ownership of what it is that you said, regardless if deep down in your heart you really didn't feel like, oh, what I said was anything wrong. But it goes back to that classic nature of the relationship. Do you want to argue, to better your relationship, or do you want to argue to be right?
mm,
And in a situation where it's like, okay, deep down, I don't feel like I did anything wrong, but I'm not going to come out and preface by saying like, oh, well, trying to pacify the situation and saying, oh, well, I'm sorry if, you took it like that, because then you're not taking ownership
mm,
of what it is that you say. All you're trying to do is pacify the other person. And instead, just come out with an apology. Oh, I am sorry that I said this, and I am sorry that what I said hurt you. Because honestly, truly, that's how you do. That should be how you feel. You are upset for whatever it is that you said has hurt your partner, and then you work to better in ways of communication. So
Child, this is the energy. This is the energy that season 3 is bringing. And I'm here for it, and I'm loving it. Like when I tell you, okay, I did a little PSA earlier today, and it was all about people not recognizing. See, I already forgot the second thing I was going to say. It'll come back to me. But it was talking about how people are really mistaken blaming versus accountability.
mm,
Like holding somebody accountable for something that they did to you is not placed in blame or anything. It's just telling you what the facts of the matter is. This is what happened.
mm,
This is how I felt. And then, you move from there.
mm,
Apologize for what you've done. Or even like something I said earlier. It's crazy how we can take accountability for all the great things that we do in a situation, but we fail to take accountability for
mm,
the negative things. The
exactly.
example I used earlier, you've gone to the grocery store and everything. You took somebody there, and you were praising yourself because you did a favor for a friend. You took them to the
Mhm.
grocery store. They got all the food that they needed, and you took them home. Great. You're holding yourself accountable. Yes, I did a great thing. But while at the grocery store, you tripped this motherfucker 18 times, and you think that, oh, I took you to the store. Why you mad?
Yeah,
Bitch, I fell 18 fucking
18 times.
times.
Like, what you mean? Why I'm mad?
Like, do you not remember that's what you did?
Mm,
Like, come on. You can at least acknowledge, okay, yeah, I did take you to the store and I tripped you 18 times. I
mm.
apologize for that. That was fucked
Yeah,
up of me.
but also like as a part of what makes a healthy relationship, you have to be, and I think that this is a lesson that a lot of people have to learn, is that you have to be on guard when people are also trying to gaslight you.
The Holiloquy podcast focuses on the variability of sexual expression. When it comes to sexual expression, we often depend on pornography to illustrate how one must perform sexually. For those who have not learned this by now, the stuff you see in porn is not real. Pornography provides a singular perspective of sexual expression that is not often the reality we see during our own sexual encounters. The Holiloquy podcast is a conversation that takes you outside of the compressed box of what many know about sex. Some of the topics we discuss includes kinks, condom usage, status disclosure, and past sexual experiences. The Holiloquy podcast steps out on sexual norms and recognizes that the norm is not the only normal. Subscribe today and join the conversation.
Like as a part of what makes a healthy relationship, you have to be, and I think that this is a lesson that a lot of people have to learn, is that you have to be on guard when people are also trying to gaslight you, as to, make it seem like, oh, wait a minute, like, why are you tripping? Like, and then try to make you think like this is your fault. Like, no.
Should I be apologizing right now? What did I do? I was
And
supposed to miss his
sadly,
foot.
and
I
no,
was
and
supposed to miss
sadly,
it.
like that's how so many people situations that they find themselves in. They find themselves being gaslit, in these dynamics. And that's what we talk about when we talk about some toxic traits and some red
Mm,
flags. Like
that part.
you better get your arsenal and waver.
Look, like I feel bad for the people who try to attempt to gaslight me because I just be like, what we're not going to do is that.
Yes, yes. As
Because
a precursor statement.
look, the receipts be there already. And look, we could have a conversation, we could hold each other accountable and all that, but let's not try to gaslight. That's all.
Let's not do that.
Let's not do that
Let's
because
not
you're
do
not going to like me after that because I'm going to be like, clearly you're not living in reality. So I'm going to go over here
that. Mhm.
and let you stay there. But that second thing came back to me. It was more related to when you were talking about having somebody who pours back into you and whatnot. One of the things that I see within an ideal relationship or for myself is that both entities come in as a whole human being.
Yes.
That regardless of what's going on, yeah, I may falter in my emotional stance or where I'm feel like however I'm feeling, and it's great for a partner to be able to do a little bit more in those moments. Or sometimes if they
Mhm.
are feeling some type of way, feeling down, under, and all that other stuff, I can do a little bit more to support them. And on occasions when we're both feeling down and we're both not feeling 100%, we have a conversation of what we both need. opposite of each other or
Mhm.
whatever the case is, so that we can continue to move forward within our relationships. Because I am so sick and tired of that codependent, I need somebody to fulfill my happiness. Bitch, no. If I
Mhm.
cannot fulfill my own happiness by myself, I don't need you, fam. I'm sorry. I
No,
need
we
to
getting
work on
rid
you
of that
first.
narrative. No,
Yeah,
we
we're
not.
getting rid of that.
We getting rid of that. No.
We don't
Yeah.
need that no more. We
Yeah,
do
and
not.
it's primarily why I've never believed, like, I like when I hear marriage vows a lot of times, and I just always cringe with the nature when people exchange their vows and they'll be like, oh, because you complete me, and things like that. I'm like, yeah, that's a nice sentiment and all, but I'm like, that's not how a marriage is supposed to be. Nobody's supposed to be completing you. Like
Mhm.
you say, you need to come into any type of dynamic as a fully and whole and healed individual. And that doesn't mean that you're not still, doing work on yourself, or you're not going to have new things that come up. But it is to say, like, you don't need to be carrying traumatic, intentional traumatic baggage into another dynamic, and then trying to mold this dynamic into saying, like you say, it becomes like the nature of being codependent.
Mhm.
So it's like, oh, I can't, do this, or, I need this person for that. Or even just the nature of just having people around you in your space. That goes back to that classic notion. How do you think that you can be with someone else if you haven't learned to be with yourself?
Mm.
So I get, I don't personally get it, but I can only imagine, like, if I had like an opposite trait of a personality, like, okay, yeah, I'm a people person, I like having, folks around, and things like that. That's all well and good, but do you actually know what it means to be still, or to be by yourself, or not want to crave being with others?
Look, I've
Yeah.
had so many times when I'm in public and I'm just like sitting all by myself, and there's those people who will want to come and join me because they feel as though that I'm lonely, that I'm
Mhm.
like all like have no friends essentially. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
no, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm actually
No, like, I'm
very
really
comfortable here
taking a
by
moment to
myself.
myself,
Like,
like,
you don't need to
you
sit
know.
here. Like, I get that you feel like I'm lonely, but I feel fulfilled.
Yes.
Like, I appreciate the kind gestures, I truly do, but
Yes. Let's talk about your
sometimes,
emotional state.
right. Are you okay? Like, since you're here now, do you have friends? Do you feel comfortable alone in spaces by yourself? If not, let's
Let's
figure
talk
this
about
out. Okay.
it. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
So, complete tangent here. What is your stance on marriage? Are you all about I for getting married, or are you somewhere on the edge? You don't know. What's up?
I think it's just like the same thing about how I think. Well, like I say, I'm a poly person, but just like the nature of what I think about, like, monogamy, I tend to think
Mhm.
about for marriage as well. Like, my notions about monogamy is that, if you want to be monogamous with one person, let that come from deep within inside you, not because it's what society tells you should want. And I feel the
Mhm.
same way about marriage. If you want to be married, let that come from a place of just really, just deep within inside you, not because you feel pressured into the societal ideas about what, oh, I need to be married by this age, or I need to be married because I need to be having kids by this, by this time, or, whatever. So I do believe in marriage to a certain extent, but I believe in it for people who actually do the work to really want it. And that's why, even though I've never been in a situation of marriage, never even close, but I do co-sign for people who, before they get married, they will say, like, you need to do premarital counseling,
Yes,
because people say premarital counseling has either saved their marriage or it has ended certain engagements before it has even gotten to the altar.
that part.
So I'm definitely, for it. But to answer that question in general, I believe in marriage to a certain extent. Do I believe in it personally for me? No.
Hmm.
I always did say, if I was ever, for whatever dynamics I'm a part of, I would be open to having like a commitment ceremony.
Mm, yes,
But yeah, and I understand why people get married. People get married for all kinds of reasons. Technically, marriage is like majority a legal, kind of institution. It's always been that way. So I do know different reasons why people get married. A good professor of mine from college, her and her partner, they've been together for more than 25 years, and they recently got married like 5 years ago just because of insurance purposes.
Mm.
You know. So yeah, I believe in it to a certain extent, but is it personally for me? No.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, if my partner like wants to have a wedding and all that other stuff, I will definitely do it for them. Not to say I won't believe in our wedding, I won't believe in our marriage. I'm not
Right.
for anybody who might question that. No, but it's like for me, I don't get. I'm not enthusiastic about like.
Right.
Oh, I can't wait till this wedding. I
Mhm.
can't wait until that. No, I'm more of like what you said with the commitment ceremony. If it's a spiritual thing where we're talking about bonding our ancestral lineage and all this other stuff, and oh yes,
Mhm.
you speaking my language. What's up? Oh my
Yeah.
God, you trying to be here forever, forever. Yes, let's do that. But like the wedding aspect in itself, it's just not for me.
Yeah, no.
I'm open to the idea, but it's just I'm not dreaming about my wedding day.
Yeah, and also something about marriage is also very commercialized, I think, as well, because I have never understood, and this is just goes speaking for myself, I've never understood the reason of spending thousands and thousands and thousands of thousands and thousands and thousands on a wedding that you are going to have for a ceremony that you're only going to have for like what, 20 minutes tops.
Exactly.
And so because my thing is like you're throwing this elaborate extravagant wedding in this venue or whatever. I'm like, if you string up some lights and streamers in the backyard, make it look nice or whatever, we could do that for like $200.
Look,
you
like
know
all you gotta tell me is like, Vernon, do you want to have a fancy dinner party? Bitch, yes, let's go.
yes, let's
Oh,
go.
then we're
Exactly.
gonna
Now
we're
I always
gonna
did
invite a
say,
pastor.
and I always did say if I did have a wedding, it would be something that would not be extra extravagant or anything. Now I would want to have a big like reception.
Mhm.
Like if we turned it into a party, then yeah. But no, like for the wedding aspect, I can't, because to me, all of that money that you're shelling out for one day, that
Mhm.
could be used for traveling together. That could be used for like your savings as you're trying to build a life together. And the fact that so many people and just go into extreme amounts of debt, on a ring, and just these whole wedding things. I'm just like, oh, I can't. I can't.
No, I'm with you completely. Like I think I will just want to save up for the reception only. Like we can
Yeah.
have a basic ass court wedding and I'll be
Mhm.
happy. And look, bitch, when I say the reception's going to be fire, oh my, I need everybody to come to the it's look, I need mask, I need
Mhm.
masquerade, I need the wines, I need the champagne, I need all the shits, okay? I need my motherfucker on the horse so I can be like, I's marries now. I need to
Mhm.
put on a show for my damn reception. That's it. The marriage
Mhm.
part, the wedding part, I don't care.
Yeah, no.
We did that. But yeah, I don't want to spend all this money on a ring. I don't want to spend all this money on a tuxedo dress for the partner if it happens to be somebody who wants to wear a dress. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not looking to spend all that big money for that.
No.
But food, yes.
Now, if it was like but like you say, it's one of those things that I'm not for, but I would not be vehemently against either. So like if it was important to my partner, then yeah, I would do it, but I would just make certain proclivities as to say, like, now, like I come from the nature of being broke. So, like you ain't getting all this, you
Yes.
ain't shelling all this money out. So you're like,
Not at
I'll
all.
be in I'll be in a 6-piece, suit and tux, or, whatever I'm choosing to wear. Now, if we got people paying for it, then, okay, whatever.
Right, right. That
I
part,
mean,
that
I'm not
part.
gonna, vehemently, object to it, but I'm just not necessarily for it either.
Look, I'd be that one person like, okay, if most definitely somebody else is paying for it, so we're gonna put down the deposit and all this other stuff. We're going to make sure we get this certain location. They already purchased for the venue. We're going to make sure everything's cheap as fuck, okay? And we're going to pocket the rest of that because we're going to enjoy the fuck out of this damn honeymoon, okay? That's we're going to do that. They
In
don't
fact,
even
we're
know.
taking the collection plate just to get into the wedding.
Look,
You know,
they could
cash your donations in.
look. They show up to the wedding like this shit is looking mighty cheap. Did somebody hire their cousin to decorate up in here? Oh, who's the decorator, Lord?
Yeah.
And
We just
look,
put this
they could be
together
mad
like
as
last
fuck
half
while I'm
hour.
on my honeymoon, huh?
Yeah, we just put this together like last half hour.
Exactly. Be pressed. This is not what I paid for. It sure as hell is not. But that honeymoon is what you did pay for. Thank you so much for the gift.
Exactly.
But back on the topic. So one of the things that we talked about way back when in our intake meeting for this episode was the different forms that communication may take. And I affirm, like, I love, like, body language. You know, verbal communication is always key. I am big on touch. I'm so big on touch. It's greatness. But anyways, what are some of the different forms of communication that you're aware of?
Oh yeah, well, most definitely. I think that physical touch is, ultra key because I think there are so many signals that we can use with our body, and sometimes if you are in a situation where you may not be able to communicate what it is that you're feeling, but you can express that through your body language. But you express that through your body language. That is something that is key to do, like, and that's always one of those things, like, if your partner or partners notice those little things about you, like anytime that you're nervous, you tend to pat your hand against your leg, or you tend to tap your foot a lot, or just things like that like people will notice. Another form of communication, I think that the nature of just I wouldn't necessarily call it gazing, and I don't know if this will fall into physical as well, but just being able to look, just exchange that look. Like, we don't even necessarily have to have words, but just exchanging that look, communicates, so much.
Child, conversations with Black people. Those, child, oh my gosh. I'm just thinking about those days in church when you're talking about somebody and you just not trying to be obvious, and you lock eyes with somebody and now you both having that conversation. You look over to the left, you look back at them, you just like, bitch, you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, I really, one of the things that I really do need to work towards learning for myself is how to communicate through sign language, because I really hate that that's not a skill that's taught from such a young age, because you never know who you may encounter who may be deaf, or just somebody who will prefer to just not talk verbally. Like, do you know how many times I could cheat in class if I'm sorry, we're not talking about that.
No, but like, fun fact is, like, some months ago, I actually started beginning learning sign language.
Oh, how's that going?
And it's going, it's been going well. It's been a little bit on pause because I did take a little bit of a break, but I did start, and it's something that I am going to be wanting to kick back up my lessons for. But like you say, it's something that, I do think it should be prevalent that, even just being taught at a young age, because as they often always say, kids tend to retain the most when it comes to language, because, we don't necessarily have the not necessarily brain cells, but it's kind of like, as we get older, our rate of processing information, becomes a little bit slower. So that's why they always say the best time to learn languages is as a kid, because then you acquire it, all the more so. And I really do think that sign language should be one of those, what should be a language that most kids are taught.
Right.
Because like you say, you never know who it is that you'll either run into, or somebody that is hearing impaired, or something. And if I could, I'll share a very funny story. My very first semester in which I was a teacher, I took my class up to do like this like class observation one time, and not intentional. It just so happens that we went up there at a time that hearing impaired students were up there. And so, as we're sitting around, we're observing the area, whatever, all of a sudden, the group of students, like they just started bursting out in laughter. And it kind of caught us all, off guard because there wasn't, too many people up there besides us. And then so when they started busting out in laughter, we all just kind of like turned our heads and looked, and we know obviously they were signing to each other. But when I got my class back to our classroom, they were all expressing, oh, like that was just very interesting what it's like to be on the outside of communication, because this was one of those things like, oh, we wanted to be in on the joke, like we wanted to hear what was happening, what was happening. But because none of us, knew sign language, we didn't, obviously pick up on what they were talking about. So it's interesting, to say, to even to hear, someone who is hearing impaired talk about not feeling, accepted, or not feeling all the times maybe quote unquote normal, and I hate to use that word, but also it's like, oh, like we had a taste of what that felt like when you're on the outside of a community of communication.
Yeah, that reminds me of, I don't know what show it was that I was watching, but usually whenever I watch a TV show, I'm not paying any attention to the what's going on because I'm like working on something. And all of a sudden the screen, the TV just went silent, and I'm like, what the fuck, did my TV cut off before I like what's happening here? And I look up, one of the characters in the show was signing the entire time and having a full ass conversation. I was like, bitch, I'm missing out, hold up. So now I have to go back, and it forced me to actually re-engage into the show that I was watching, just so I can know the conversation that was going on. And I actually love that. I love that so much.
And I'm so glad that media now is showcasing more of the hearing impaired community. Like one of the first shows that I watched that had a big, sign language presence is a show that used to come on Freeform called Switched at Birth, where one of these siblings who was switched at birth, she used sign language, and so did some of the cast. And another show featured a great character, great doctor, show that just went off last year. No, this year, should I say, called New Amsterdam, featured a doctor who signed. And even for like this new show for that's based on the video game, if anybody is fans of Last of Us, they featured a character for one of their story arcs that did sign, that signed. So the fact that it's becoming very much a part of media as well as representation, I'm like, all right, clap it up. So yeah.
All right, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, we're back. It's my connection went all kinds of wonky.
Oh, no,
all right, so left off at Last of Us.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I was just saying that the show Last of Us features a chapter in the story that one of the main two of the main characters, they signed to each other, and they are two characters of color too. So big props to that as well. So I'm just saying that I love the nature how we're getting more into, as media continues to develop more and more, that we are having that representation present.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and we definitely need a lot more of it. Like, I wish that media could be extremely diverse in all of these different aspects, like more blind characters, more people who may be legally blind, or whatever the case is. Like, let's have a lot more stories of people from all kinds of backgrounds, so that you can learn that, hey, there's a different form of communicating. Like I grew up with a grandmother who was blind, and because of her being blind, I always tried to live my life in her lens whenever I could. Like at night, I would try to figure out where things are so I could understand like what it's like for her, and try to map my way through the hallways and stuff like that. And that actually helped me recognize a lot of different things that you will probably miss out on if you're not paying any attention, like how to touch with your hands, and how to see with your hands, and all of those other great things. And it also inspired me to learn how to read Braille. Like even when it comes to the book that I wrote, one of the things that I wanted to do is to make sure that I had a diverse array of ways people can read it. Of course, I still need to do the audiobook, but I researched how to make this book into something that people who are visually impaired can read, and how to find a braille transcriber and all this other stuff, and it was looking expensive, so I couldn't do that. I
We're
was
gonna have to do some workarounds.
I was like, y'all just gonna have to wait till this audiobook come out. Love you, I thought of you, but the way my money is set
The
up,
intention was there. The coins don't match.
the coins did not match. They
Match.
said, bitch, no. Oh God. But yes. So anyways, to get back into the conversation, I know that you hate the topic of love languages, something that we definitely will be talking about and slash have talked about in November of 2023.
Correction. I don't hate love language. I just hate the concept of who it was stemmed from.
Oh, okay. Okay, got you. Yeah, I've read up on that. It is very problematic. I was like, pause. Is that
Pause.
deep? I did not know. But yeah, it's problematic. But you did bring up 18 modern language of love when we had that original conversation.
Yes.
What is that about?
So the 18 languages of love, it lends itself to the nature of the 5 love languages, except it comes from a more general how should I say, it's not necessarily passive. And what I mean by that is that it's having you to understand that, one, there are more than five love languages to identify with. And the author is a queer woman who came out with a text, and for the love of me, her name is escaping me right now. But when she came out with this, she also came out with a workbook as well, so that way you could hone in and express the nature of your not the way that you express love, and to know that it's not just in groups of 5. And I love the fact that she even prefaces her book in saying, like, there's not even just 18 is just the number she stopped at, because that was what she thought about in the moment and what she wanted to cover as far as one book. But I do love the fact, one of the first things she prefaces is that, no, that just because it's named 18, that 18 is just the number I got to, So yeah, I like the fact that it comes from a a queer perspective, because queerness is obviously surrounded in a multi-variation and facets of love. It's not just in a kind of heteronormative kind of one lens type of way. I actually just looked it up. It's called Speaking from the Heart, 18 Languages for Modern Love by Anne Holdership. And and so one of the things that is prefaced about the text is that it's not just heterosexual marriage, which is where Gary Chapman, who is the concept connoisseur of the 5 love languages, deeply heavily involved with the church, misogynistic points of view, not necessarily queer friendly. We could have a whole conversation about that. But yeah, so yeah, I really gravitated towards the 18 modern languages of love because of the fact that it's not there's more nuance, there's more important nuances that it stems. And also, like, the 18 languages that she goes through, they're expressed in a way that don't necessarily like have them to fall into just explicitly one category. So they're saying, like, these notions of love can be expressed through the nature of a romantic partnership, family, friends, and just to show you like these kind of facets. And so do the nature of like the 5 love languages, but at least in this text it's a little bit more expressed, if you'll say. So
Yeah, I'm going to make sure I include that in the show notes for everybody if you want to look into that. I definitely recommend it. Get the book, read, and I love that accountability is one of those. Oh my gosh, you better speak to me
mm,
because I love me some accountability. So I'm looking at her website right now. So I'll be posting that in the show notes for everybody so y'all can, get the tea.
yeah.
Now,
And just so you everybody knows, if you are, interested in a text that is kind of like decentering this cis hetero monogamous Christian marriage approach to love languages, this, it's not to say it's a perfect text. There's a lot that could have been done with the text, as with anything. But if you're into that whole like dismantling or disrupting the patriarchal and heterosexual structure, go ahead and get you another text.
I fuss with it. So another thing that we discussed way back when was having openness to change. And I want to tie this into the other thing that we were going to talk about, just so we can get into the never have I evers and whatnot. Seeing your partner at every season of their life and the importance of that. For me, I really do. Need a partner um, who acknowledges that I'm not going to be the same person I was yesterday. That I focus on growing. I focus on improving myself, and sometimes I might falter. Sometimes I might go way above than what I thought I would be, and I need a partner who can recognize that I do change as I recognize that they do change, and that the change that we see amongst each other is usually is a good thing. It's a good thing. And also going off of the seeing your partner every season, I think that's like, of course you won't be able to see that with, like, let's say your first person you ever loved or what have you, and y'all break up. Things happen. Things
Yeah.
happen. But just being there to support your partner on their low times, their high times, the grooves that go within that, understanding how they deal with loss, how they deal with success. Those things are important. Those
Mhm.
things help you with, for myself at least, they help you understand if this is the right person for you. For example, if I see a partner who's competitive. Well, if I have a partner who's very competitive, they win all the time and all these other great things. However, whenever they win, they are extremely boisterous, and they are, I guess, they'll flip a table because of how happy they are. I don't
Mhm.
want to deal with that person.
Right.
As well as if they lose something, they get extremely irate. I don't want to deal with them either. So seeing a partner in different stages of their emotional life as well as their physical, romantic life, all those things, I think that helps out with identifying who would be, I guess, your ideal partner or partners throughout,
Yeah.
your lived experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that you're absolutely right. I think it's important for you to see your partners in, kind of every season, of their life, because I think that we've gotten into a time, especially with being on dating apps and, having, I know personally for me, just experiencing a lot of these like fleeting conversations that don't go anywhere, or just looking at profiles and everybody thinking that you just have to have this whole entire package put together,
Mhm.
and that you're not supposed to have concerns or faults or things like that. And something that even I had a friend to explain to me just recently, I've never understood what the nature of like catching a vibe means. Like I hear that so much,
Oh, child.
I see that on so many people profile. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Like, I'm here to catch a
Bitch.
vibe. Like, and
Bitch.
so it wasn't, and my friend, he tried to explain it to me, which I guess I kind of understand, but it's like, I need you to put more words to that. Like, what the hell does catching a vibe mean? So I mean, if it means that, oh, if I'm not your vibe this day, like you're not gonna deal with me, or like, so I don't know. I don't know, and I'm still trying to, navigate that whole thing. But yeah, seeing people at their best, seeing people at, not necessarily their worst, but like them, not as you would experience them,
Mhm.
is important. And just knowing that, if you're going to be there for a support, then you need to make that known. What kind of support are you going to be? So, like, for instance, for me, even in making, strict platonic friends or whatever, I let people know straight out the gate, like, I am not the type of friend that is going to just tell you whatever you want to hear.
Mhm.
So if you are looking for that in a friendship, I'm sorry, I'm not that person. If you ask me an honest question, I'm gonna give you an honest answer. I'm gonna always be here to support you, mind you,
Mhm.
for whatever you're doing. But if you're wrong, I'm gonna be like, listen, I know this happened, whatever, whatever, whatever. But now I'm gonna side eye you too. I'm like, now you dead ass wrong, right? Let me tell you why. So I'm not that yes kind of friend person. I'm not just gonna tell you what you want to hear. So if you want to be told something, call somebody else.
Look,
So.
I am the exact same. Like people know by now. Don't ask Vernon to be truthful. Don't ask Vernon any questions you don't want the truth to
You
come
really
out.
don't want the
Because
answers to.
I will give you the truth. It may be a nicer version sometimes, depending on how
Yeah,
you are emotionally at that time,
yeah,
but usually it's just going to be straight up, no,
yeah.
you're an asshole, and I
Yeah,
need you to
now,
like
yeah,
figure
now
that
that's
out.
not a justification to, just be rude and be nasty or
Mhm.
hateful, because I always do believe it's not really about what you say, but how you say things.
That
So
too.
I never deliver things in like, oh, like just a nasty way or whatever. But like if you fucked up or, like you did something wrong, I'm gonna be like, well, like you could have maybe, did this a little bit more, like I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Hmm.
So yeah, but yeah, I do think it is important though in whoever it is that you're dealing with, because then it also is. I've always believed this as well. The strength of a union can't be known until it's tested. So you can't know how strong you are together with someone until that test comes. And it's not to say that there has to be like some horrific thing has happened, or like some major upheaval, but you need to know how you and somebody face adversity. You need to experience like what it is like, hey, when we're not always obviously on the same page. I often always say you're not always going to be on the same page, but you definitely need to be in the same chapter of the same book.
That part.
That part. So it's seeing people in their different, seasons. We were just even talking before the call, like everybody knows summer is like my worst season of the year. Like I'm moody. My patience level is, not usually what it is, because I'm more irritable during the summer because it's hot as hell.
That
It's like I don't have time. Like I will cuss you out in a minute. And I'm usually somebody who don't do that, but you can, you
look,
can get it.
I'm with you there. Like during summertime, I don't want that. Oh, I want to come over and cuddle, bitch. It's hot. I don't be over here trying to be cutesy and all that other shit, because I'm sorry, I don't have the patience, because it is 83 degrees. It is 96 degrees. It just hit 107 the other day. I don't need to be fucking around with those fuck arounds with this heat. I'm sorry that we're not doing
There
that.
is a reason why cuffing season exists, and it doesn't exist in the summer. So, like, if you're not familiar, go look it up. Like,
If we're not in a committed relationship, we're not playing these little games. We're
we're
not.
not gonna do
No, we can hang out as much as you want, as long as it has a nice little cool breeze.
that. Yeah, yeah.
And that's that on that. Oh, are you ready? Because I kind of want to go back and start talking about like because you trigger me with that vibes thing, but I'm going to
Oh,
let it
we
go.
can we can
I'm
do
going to
that
let
if
it
you want.
go. I'm going to let it go because
Okay.
no, I'm not, because we need to address this because
We-
like these motherfuckers out here on, yeah, I'm here to vibe out, just to catch a vibe. And I ask you, what do you mean by vibes? And you cannot fucking explain what the fuck you talking about. We got a problem.
I need you to dig deep into some vocabulary that I'm hoping you have.
Like, what the hell do you mean? I'm just trying to see how the things go. Like, I understand. I'm going with the flow. I get that on some level. But
Right.
bitch, if your motherfucking flow, the river that you on, is leading all kinds of places where you don't know where the fucking end goal is, I don't want to be in this flow with you. I don't want to touch your motherfucking river.
No.
Is it leading to the sea? Is it leading to the ocean? Is it leading to anything that's going to make sure that I feel secured? If it ain't, I don't need that shit.
No. And
I
if
don't
you
need
just
it.
saying like I'm here to catch a vibe, then that means like to me that's stating that oh like you're not looking for anything intentional. Even if it's something that's just casual. If you're looking for something casual, then just say that. Like
Look,
if you like you say, I understand the nature. Oh, like I'm going with the flow. I'm really open, to things. Then just say that then. Like, I think it's one of those things where catching a vibe has become such a part of the lingo of a generation now that it's like you're automatically just supposed to know like, oh, I'm just supposed to go with the vibes of, whatever this person is giving. If I don't want to, I can reject it. But it's like, bitch, as a pre-planner, I need to know way in advance what kind of vibe you looking for.
that part. Like, what are we doing here?
Like, because your vibe may be like, and it's no, judgment to anybody, who's 420 friendly or, who, anything like that. But, I don't do that. So, it's kind of like, if you're looking for that, then just say that. Because then that lets me know, oh, like, I'm not what you're looking for. But it's like, I don't want to find that out when we're together. And then I create this whole awkward ass situation.
A good bit of the time, whenever someone says that to me, that's my immediate thought is that they're talking about smoking, because that's the only kind of like, are we listening to R&B? Because if that's the kind of vibe you're trying to catch, bitch, I got a playlist. What's up?
Exactly.
like,
yeah. And that's the thing with these people in these profiles. I understand that we only get so many characters to fill out, but it's like, bitch, I need you to use your vocabulary.
Yes.
And if you don't have one, I need you to get one. I need you to go to the thesaurus, look yourself up some adjectives, and you need to do better.
A couple action verbs up in that hole.
Yes, you need to do better.
Oh God. All right. So now let's go into this never have I ever. So I have new questions for season 3 too. So I'm going to bring that one out, and I already know the answer to this question, which is more that people get to learn about Tyrell. We talked about it on the podcast before. So so first off, I don't know the answer to this one, so this is gonna be interesting. Never have I ever paid or got paid for sex.
Never.
I inadvertently paid for sex before, mostly to get the person out of my car. And then I think I was paid for sex. It was a very weird issue that happened. Like, and this was also because this person was supposed to be putting gas in my car or whatever, because I was dropping them off, and rather than actually putting the gas in the car or handing me the money, like put the money in my hand, they just put it in the glove compartment. I was like, bitch, what the fuck? Like, am I am I on the streets for real? Like, what just happened?
No.
I don't.
But even though I've never done it either way of like paying for it or being paid, I'm not gonna say like I'm not against it though.
Oh, I'm not either.
Like, because my thing is I put myself into both scenarios. I feel like, listen, if I'm living my life as a single person or whatever, if I have something to go to, or like I just want like perhaps I just want like a hot, sexy rendezvous or whatever, and I just don't feel like being on these apps or anything like that, I may just hire myself a escort.
I would do
that fulfills all those things. Like I would do that if I really felt in a place to do it. And if I just
Mhm.
wanted to, I would. And the same thing goes for like somebody paying me. Like typically, like of course, like I would have to think about like what my price would be. But
I know mine.
but oh, I want to hear it. But but in general though, I have to think about like, listen, we can have standards and all that type of stuff, but sometimes like when you see somebody and like that chemistry or that vibe is there,
The vibe.
if that vibe is there, look, they can get it. and
Look,
if they
like
want to pay you for it.
there's a select few people that I'm like, if I get myself situated, I will fly them out. They will get flued out, and I will pay for their services. It's my favorite Twitter porn
Okay.
people, my favorite content creators. If
Okay.
I get the funds, of course, you getting flued out, fam. Like, what's
You
up?
got the DM me their handles.
I got you. I got you. And then in terms of my price, it depends. So if I'm doing content with another person,
Mhm.
like for the person I'm flying out or whatever, then I'm not going to charge them because whatever. Um, well, actually, if we're going to be fucking and they're going to be making money off the content that we're creating, bitch, you're going to cut me my check. I'm not going to ask for all of it, but bitch, I'm half of this work here.
Mhm.
I'll take at least 25% just to be fair, since they have the audience.
Mhm.
But if it's just one of those you're hiring burning for the day, I'll probably do something around 250 per day.
Okay.
Something
Okay.
a little bit reasonable. But give them about 6 hours of my time. We can go this place, that place, make you feel great, make you feel loved. If is sex included, might add an extra $50 on that for that service. But it depends on the sex that we're doing. But
Right.
I would do that. I would do that.
Okay. Okay.
Now, unless you're
Absolutely.
trying to fly me out, then we could talk about other price ranges now. Where are we?
Right.
Where am I getting flued out to? Like,
Yeah.
what's
Because
going
then
on?
it's like, okay, if you paying for stuff, but then like you selecting the stuff and I don't like it, like then we're gonna have a problem.
That
But
part.
but yeah, yeah. Even though I've never done it, like I would consider it like both ways. Like if I wanted to pay for it and if I was to be paid, I would be open to it.
Yes. See, yeah, yes, yes, yes. Okay. So the sex question that I have.
All right.
How do you feel about toe sucking? And have you given it a try or would you be willing to?
Oh, lovely question. I have done it. It's actually a favorite sex act of mine to do because I actually do have a foot kink. So, and that's very actually different from a fetish. If those listeners out there that do not know, the difference between a fetish and a kink is that a fetish is something that you need to sexually engage with as stimuli to ejaculate or to get to that, that climax point. A kink is something that you like to engage in with for enjoyment and pleasure, but you don't necessarily have to engage with it to reach that climax. So that's the reason why I say I have a foot kink instead of a fetish. But yeah, I love it. I've done it. It's what I prefer to do. It's actually one of the things I prefer to do. I don't push the issue, but if my partner is open to it, then I will gladly do it.
I have to say, Tyra, I'm so proud of you because I remember from like the first time we met to like even go down this journey, you didn't even know the difference between those two. And look, you could just articulate it so easily. It's just, I love it.
No, education, like educate yourselves, educate yourselves.
It's a beautiful thing. Y'all listen to this podcast is greatness. Now I will say for myself, I am all for toe sucking. I've had mine sucked before, and oh my God, like, oh, it's a good feeling. It's wondrous.
I do want to put a disclaimer in there. Clean, 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 clean.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, let's
Yes,
put a
yes,
disclaimer in there. Now, that's
yes.
not to say that because like they say in the kink community, you don't yuck someone's yum. So if that is, if you like to engage with, smelly, dirty feet or whatever, do you?
Love that for
But
you.
that's just not my ministry. I like to, be clean. So
Exactly. And I like personally, I uh if any person that I'm engaging with and they want to do that, I need a warning beforehand, because I like to make sure my feet are extra clean for those kind of
Yeah.
sessions. Because there was this one time I met up with somebody and, we're hooking up, whatever. And next thing you know, he's putting my toes in his mouth. And I'm like, oh, this feels great. But I feel I didn't wash my feet as much as I could have. I didn't do an extra scrub. It was just, typical, I wash my feet, and I'm getting out the shower. Like, I could have put some extra stuff down. I could have vacuumed my floor before I walked out the shower, just to make sure that I'm walking on nothing but clean floor until I put on my socks, or make sure I have my socks in the bathroom. All these things go through my mind. like, you have my floor on your tongue, fam. We can't kiss. I'm not that my floors are dirty, but still.
But yeah,
that's
just
what we
give a
go
little
to.
warning.
But yeah, I need to know beforehand. And and the other part, am I willing to reciprocate that action to a partner? Yeah. If my partner's into it, we could do a lot of things.
Yeah, wonderful thing. Wonderful.
So, with all of this discussion being behind us now, Tyrell, is there any last words that you would like to share with the audience?
Ooh, just again, welcome back to to those who are coming back for the Liloquy podcast. Welcome to those who are new. It's about time y'all came. Hey, season 3. And just continue to think about obviously aspects that we have discussed this evening about what does being in a positive relationship look like for you. What are some of those kind of requirements that you have, thinking about what it is that fulfills you, what it is that you need. Because listen, these streets are a mess these days. Like, we ain't got time for games, and if you do, more props to you. You can play the game all you want to. Hey, more power to you. But if you're not trying to play these games, get really clear about what it is that you are not just wanting and desiring, but that you are requiring.
Ooh, I need to make that a clip, bitch. Yes. That touched the heart for real. Oh God. But yeah, these streets are not, they're not your friend. Fuck the streets. And I don't mean that literally. No, get rid of the streets, because this shit, that's, no.
Mhm.
I'm not going into that. All right. So thank you so much, Tyrell, for coming on to the podcast. You're always greatly
You.
appreciated. I love you so much.
Love you.
So to the audience out there, thank you all so much for listening to the Holiloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. Just in case no one else told you this today, you are beautiful, you are worthy of happiness and joy, you are enough and then some. You may not live up to the expectations of others, but that is okay. You are only required to walk in your own shoes. May each day you live lead you towards abundance. With that said, love you all, and I'll see you next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Holiloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. You can subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting app and find us on the web at www.holiloquy.com. That's www.HEAUXLILOQUY.com. Share the podcast with your friends and join the conversation.